My college roommate was very excited when he called to tell me that he had been made regional manager of the pharmaceutical distributor he worked for. He had worked hard and fully deserved his promotion, which probably was overdue. "Now I can finally make some decisions to get this place moving," he said. His enthusiasm was centered on something we all believe to be true. Managers make decisions and direct others. But in every company I have worked with, this truism turns out to be not quite so true. In every company, large controversial issues are left unresolved because decisions have not been made, and these unresolved issues exist at every level of management in even the best companies. This happens because managers often deliberately avoid making controversial decisions. One of the key skills of being a strong manager is knowing which battles to fight and which to ignore. The best managers have a knack for getting this just right. They have impeccable timing. They know exactly when to make a decision. They also know that it is sometimes easier and even wiser in the short run to leave things the way they are rather than to make a decision that, although obviously the right thing to do, may have other consequences. But leaders are expected to deal with and resolve controversial issues. When they do not, however good the reason, they can cause confusion, frustration, and misunderstanding, as well as inefficiency. Avoiding controversy is one of the most significant behavioral barriers, and in its wake, important issues remain unresolved, usually leaving huge opportunities for change. There are many reasons people avoid controversy and try to keep the peace. But as Neville Chamberlain learned in the years before World War II, peace in our time carries a high price indeed. In this chapter, I demonstrate why managers avoid controversy and what can happen when they do. And I show how a good change process can provide the air cover to tackle controversial decisions. As you will see with all the 8 barriers we write about, recognizing when a barrier exists is the first step toward breaking it. The goal of a good change process is to help companies see how each of the 8 barriers manifests itself in their organizations and how they can break them down. In the case of the avoiding controversy barrier, it is usually very clear to the organization that decisions are not being made, but it is unclear why a manager is avoiding making them. There is usually a sound reason, but the reason is often invisible. A good change process will force controversial issues to be addressed and decisions to be made by spotlighting the issues and making avoiding a decision very difficult. How avoiding controversy forces companies to do dumb things. A chief executive officer of a Midwest industrial company had been living for 4 years with the pet project of his chief operating officer, an expansion into the middle market, a customer base that was smaller in size than the company's traditional customer base. The venture was still considered a startup and had yet to make a profit. The argument, year after unprofitable year, was, give us another year and we'll make money next year. The project had been approved at a time when the economy was growing quickly, and it was hard for industrial companies that already served the market to keep up with demand. After 2 years of solid investment, it should have generated healthy profits in the 3rd year. This startup was launched with much fanfare within the company. A lot of effort and money were invested in it, and its progress was featured prominently on the company's intranet until it became apparent that the expansion wasn't going well. The CEO was in a tough spot. The COO had been at the company much longer than he had, and many people who had thought the COO deserved the top job were disappointed when an outsider was brought in. The CEO knew that he could only justify keeping this project going for only so long before the board and shareholders would ask questions. But he also knew that killing the COO's pet project would harm the COO's reputation and a relationship that was important to him. The CEO didn't feel comfortable turning to the COO and just saying, "We need to close this down." So the expansion continued, and continued to lose money. Why should a CEO feel uncomfortable telling a direct report, "Well, we gave it a shot, but it's just not working"? This is business after all, and everyone is a professional. The industrial company was publicly traded, so the CEO had an obligation to shareholders to maximize profits by doing away with money losers.